met a Gypsy.
Especially in the gig you're in, you know, like it hangs over your head that, hey, at any point this shit could be over. And you could be injured and have to retire. And I mean, it fucking happened.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've had, you know, a couple friends pass away from it. I've had a lot of friends get hurt, you know, where they can't do it again. You know, and it is something, you know, luckily the group I had around me, they understood me, you know, and they let me kind of do a lot of the stuff I needed to do to put myself in the right place. But like I said, from the outside, sometimes, you know, people just don't understand it. And it's like, you know, I can easily see how people, you know, oh, you know, can be arrogant, or he's a prick, or he's just, you know, he doesn't wave, or he's tunnel vision. And, you know, when I was racing, it was about winning. And like I told you earlier, if there's like a road right or left and more attention's the right way and left is less, I'm going left, you know, every time. And it's not about me not, you know, appreciating the fans or anything like that. It's just, I'm so focused on it, you know, and that's kind of, it's not a great thing in some ways, but then in some ways that's what made me, you know, be able to do what I did.
Did you feel a lot of pressure in those aspects of your life? Like not even just the pressure to win, but just providing and retirement. And was it something you really thought much about?
No, I mean, I felt the pressure to win, you know, because you know, we had some decent, you know, luck in America, and then we won the Superbike titles, and then we went, you know, in race World Superbike and won that the first year. And then that put me into MotoGP, where everybody's like, okay, you know, is he going to win? Is he going to win a championship and all this kind of stuff? And, you know, and it's just, and that was the natural step with GP. And again, it was something that I wouldn't say I wanted to do it so much. I respected it, but I knew the differences in the bikes, you know, and I tested them a couple times, but, you know, it was just at the decision where, you know, Valentino, I think they kind of knew he was going to be leaving, you know, in a couple years. And we were almost done with the 09 season, and they were wanting me to sign for GP. But at that point, I was coming back in the points. I was still in second. So it wasn't a lock that I was going to win the championship. But I had to make that decision before, you know, and then go do GP. And now that I look back at it, you know, I'm not upset at all that I did GP, but I know I wasn't able to get 100% out of me and the bike, and it's my fault, you know. But there was probably 3 or 4 days on the bike that I felt as comfortable as I did on a Superbike. Like I was able to get everything out of me, and it felt great and all the stuff. It was just a different style of riding the bike, because I went from thousands to when they were 800s, and it was more like a big 250 and just a different way of riding a bike. You know, it's more corner speed, it's a little bit less braking and upsetting the bike, and I just couldn't get it as quickly as other people. And they had been, obviously the Europeans, they're raised, you know, that way. And then you have the Superbike guys that come over, and I don't think any Superbike guys ever, you know, went over there and, like I said, won the champ, besides Nicky, you know, won the Superbike that year. But then after that, you know, he was, I wouldn't say a couple, you know, he was just a little bit behind the top guys. And we talked about it a lot too. And I mean, it's difficult to, because the bikes are so different. You know, a Superbike to a super sport bike is a massive difference, but a GP bike to a Superbike is way bigger. You know, there's no weight transfer. You can't, you know, like with a Superbike, if you're kind of off a little bit or feeling something with the bike, you can manipulate it, as in, you know, getting a little bit more weight to the front.
You can override it a bit.
You can. And with the GP bike, it's kind of like, you know, if you're at a lap time when the race starts, that's kind of where you're at. You know, it's hard to do things with the bike to make it work when you're not, you know, you're not fully in tune with it. And that was what I struggled with, just because, again, I was a late breaker. I liked to break as late as I could, get the thing stopped, rotated, and pick it up, you know, and get out of the corner. A GP bike, you know, the best analogy compared to Superbike is like you go into a corner, you let off the brake earlier, and you pretend you're in a rut, or like a bobsled turn almost, where you've got that, you know, you're trying to get force in the side of the tire, and that gives you the roll speed, you know, through the corner. So my style just in general was not good for it. And it's kind of like the same thing where you see with Top Rack, the way he rides the bike. He's unbelievable And, you know, he's got some of the most talent of anybody. I mean, I put him up there close with Marquez and them.
Really?
When it comes with raw talent.
Yeah.
But if he gets on a GP bike, he has to go through a phase where he'll struggle a little bit, you know, and it's because how he rides the bike and how those bikes need to be ridden. He tested them and, you know, kind of had the same comments a little bit of what I thought it was going to be. And because I talked with him a little bit and we talked about GP and I said, man, I think with your age and the bikes you've been brought up your whole life, you know, it's going to be tough, you know, because we've seen the people that have done it and all that kind of stuff. Or you can build a legacy, you know, and win a few World Superbike titles like Johnny Ray did, which again, Johnny Ray, he was fast enough to be a MotoGP, but the way he rides the bike and what he's been used to his whole life, he's got to change his style, and that might take something away from him, you know. So I think, like I said, Johnny Ray staying and winning 5 or 6 titles was a better move than going to GP. You know, and I'm not, because I had great races with Johnny. I just know when you're used to riding super bikes or super sport bikes your whole life, you're going to have some tendencies that aren't good for GP.
Yeah, you know? And you see, like, I think, you know, you sort of said it when we were at breakfast that here it's so much more production-based motorcycles that you're turning into race bikes and racing, whereas when you go to Europe, then you basically racing race bikes forever. Yeah. And it just changes the development of you as a rider. Yeah.
No, it does. And, you know, there was a lot of things we tried with the bike. I tried with my style. And, you know, I wasn't slow over there, but I just, you know.
You just didn't have the feeling.
I didn't, yeah. I never felt like I was operating at 100%. I was just not comfortable on that bike and that type of riding style, because I was, you know, my first Superbike title was with no traction control in 2006.
That seems so wild to think about.
So it was kind of like the most analog bike to ride, the fastest, most refined analog bike, and then the electronics started taking off. So I had been ingrained riding those bikes, you know, from 18 to when I won the first title, and then all this stuff starts taking off with the electronics. Then you have the difference in the bikes too, and that's just, there's so much going on. I couldn't get the package to be 100% in Europe in GPs. And again, that's, most of it's my fault, you know, and it's just, it was a riding style thing and a comfort thing. Again, we weren't slow, but it wasn't, you know, I felt like we could have done more. Not saying we could have won the title, or I'm not saying we could have won all these races, but I was never at home on the bikes. I wasn't.
We're excited to announce the launch of our new membership site, gypsytales.com, packed with exclusive content and perks that you won't find anywhere else. This is your chance to become a part of the Gypsy Gang. And as a special bonus, if you sign up to an annual membership, you'll be entered into the draw to win our custom-built TC125. Gypsy Gang.